franktalks.com.
The following program contains mature subject matter. Listener discretion is advised.
The latest trends and hottest topics, love and sex, handled honestly and with passion. Here's Dr. Laurie, CJAD 800.
Coming up on the program, Dating Dilemmas. I'll be joined with Frank Kermit and Christina Mucciardi of Cook and Date. We'll talk about what extremes have you gone to make a relationship work or to make somebody fall in love with you. What has someone done to get your love, your attention? Usually that means it's a little much, but maybe not. I'll get your input on that, and you'll have the chance to win or be eligible to win some gift certificates for events happening on the West Island at the Ritz-Carlton, all dating events. We've got tickets for the 35 plus, we've got tickets for the 40 plus, and tickets for the 30 to 40 age range. So keep listening and get ready to text in with some of your thoughts, and then you can be eligible to win. But first,
time to check out our inbox. Your calls and texts are always welcome. Connect with Passion now at 514-790-0800 or 514-800.
all right, you can always email me your questions, Laurie at drlaurie.com or through the iHeart Radio app, or you can go straight to my website, drlaurie.com, and fill out the form there, and I will get your question. I am a 59-year-old male, healthy, only I have no problem on medication, married for 30 years. My wife stopped having sex with me a long time ago because of her psychological problems or whatever. Nowadays in the evening before dinner, I have 1 or 2 shots of whiskey nearly 5 times a week. After drinking, I get horny and mostly get an erection after watching porn. Then I masturbate. I don't have any girlfriends or I don't go to prostitutes. Is something wrong with me? I enjoy it a lot. So first I want to say that I'm sorry that your sex life with your wife has completely stopped. It's unfortunate that your partner may not want to seek therapy to help her with her psychological problems, to help her with her sexuality, and to help the couple. It's unfortunate, really, because that would be your best option. But clearly you still have sexual needs, and really the best way to satisfy them without going outside your marriage, which of course may destroy your marriage if you do, and if that's not what you want, then is through self-pleasure and taking care of yourself, i.e. masturbation. And using porn to get aroused is very common, and generally it's not problematic. If it becomes compulsive, meaning it takes over your thoughts, it takes over your mind, your time, all of that, and you can't seem to you just think about when's the next time you're going to be able to go on there, and you spend hours on there, then it becomes a problem. That's not what you're describing. So plenty of men will masturbate on a daily basis, and I assure you no harm will come to you if you do. A question about a penis. I had an adult circumcision probably 10 years ago. I guess there is some scar tissue located at the base of the head of the penis. This skin has gotten to where it will tear even with the slightest of penetration. It is the tiniest of cuts, but you can imagine with the sensitivity of that area how much pain I am in. I'm at my wit's end. 59 years old, no problems getting an erection, but this has caused a complete shutdown of our sex life. So first things first is I'm not a medical doctor. So I would ask you, have you seen a doctor who has actually examined your penis? That would be the absolute first step. You may need to get a prescription for something to apply to, at least to get to help the tear heal. And you may have to hold off, of course, on intercourse until you get a full healing there. I'm just wondering, you've had your circumcision 10 years ago. How come it hasn't healed in 10 years? That's the question that comes to my mind. It's I don't understand that. But I think that's a question only a medical doctor would be able to figure out and answer after examining you and looking. Maybe they can even repair the scar tissue area, because when scar tissue is formed, it can cause something called Peyronie's disease, which is could put a kink in the penis, but usually it makes the erection more difficult to have. But maybe with each erection, the skin is being pulled too tight and it keeps causing it to tear. So, that would make it very painful. But again, I'm not quite sure what the treatment options would be for that. So check with your family doctor, or you can ask for a referral to a urologist who's a specialist in that area. That might be something that you can try. I just found out that my boyfriend is bisexual, which doesn't bother me that he is. The part that bothers me is that he was ashamed and embarrassed to tell me. The reason why he's ashamed is because how he found out he likes it. He was molested by a family member. That person took advantage of pleasure from him. I told him if he likes it, that's okay. I'm not going to judge you of how you like to be pleasured. Nobody should be ashamed of how you like to pleasure ourselves. I'm just having a hard time because 3 days prior to that, he was acting kind of funny, making jokes about putting things up in his butt. And I kept asking him, hey, if you want to try it, we can. So I asked him today, finally, if he missed that low point of his life. He said yes, and we had a long conversation about it. I just feel like I've been lied to, and I want to be able to pleasure him the way he wants to be pleasured. It's just a lot for me to take in, and no offense to anybody that's bisexual or lesbian or gay. It's just I'm one of those persons that I'm very respectful, but once you tell me, I'm like, wow, then I need to step back, and then I'm back in. I'll then be respectful and loving and caring and fun, just like I used to. He said that he didn't have to tell me, which he's right. He didn't have to tell me. It's a lot better having it out. I just need a little bit of help to how to accept it and how to pleasure him for a beginner that's never done it. So I certainly can understand why you might be upset by your boyfriend's reluctance to share this kind of information with you, but rather than outright lie to you, it wasn't a lie. He omitted the information about himself, which is understandable. It's a very painful, vulnerable thing to share with anyone. So, and you did finally talk about it openly, and I really do applaud him for his willingness to be vulnerable with you, and I applaud you for accepting him and not judging him. It is going to take you a bit of time to process all of this information. So you have to be patient with yourself. You have to be patient with your partner. Sometimes it is difficult to understand how a person who was molested in a certain way still enjoys certain sexual activities as an adult that actually resemble what was done to them in childhood. It's also difficult for the survivor, by the way, because it brings up a lot of confusing thoughts and feelings. Imagine how confusing it is for a child to be sexually abused and to have experienced pleasure at the same time. This is a body, like a physical response, right? And sometimes, many times actually, victims will experience a lot of shame and guilt because they don't understand that their bodies were simply responding physically to something. So it does sound like your boyfriend discovered that he likes anal play. That's what you're saying. And it also sounds, though, like you are assuming he is bisexual because he likes this form of sexual stimulation. That you can't make that jump unless he identifies as bisexual, meaning that he would enjoy sex with a man, not just a dildo or a penis shape or just something in his butt. That does not make somebody gay or bisexual. So making the assumption that he is by the kind of sex he likes is actually misleading. It's wrong. That doesn't say anything. Because somebody likes anal pleasure says nothing about their sexual orientation. Anyway, you can send in your questions anytime by email, Laurie at drlaurie.com. I always answer them at the beginning of every show, and I would be happy to do that for you. Coming up after 10:15, we've got our Dating Dilemmas panel, Frank Kermit, dating coach, along with Christina Mucciardi of Cook and Date.
514-790-0800. Passion. News Talk Radio. CJAD 800.
I know it's not the last Wednesday of the month, but the last Wednesday of the month this month falls on Bell Let's Talk Day, and I decided that we're going to switch things around a bit. And on Wednesday, we will do our therapist panel and talk about mental health issues. And today, which would normally be our therapist panel, we've switched it with our dating dilemmas panel. Hi.
Hello.
So in studio, Frank Kermit, you know him as the dating coach, the author of many, many books on dating, and a regular here for the last 10 years. We've got Christina Mucciardi, who's also been a regular on the show. She started Cook and Date, and we met at least a decade ago, right, when you started the whole process. And I'm happy to see that it's been a successful venture for you, getting out there and doing this. So before we get into our topic, which is what has someone done to get your love, your attention, or what extremes have you gone to make a relationship work, I want to tell you that by texting in, you have an opportunity to win. If you're, make sure you're single and tell us how old you are so we can tell you what you could win. But there are 3 Cook and Date events coming up in the next month in February that we have tickets for you for. So it will make you eligible to win if you do text in. So make sure you tell us how old you are. All right, Cook and Date. Tell us about that first. What kind of event can people look forward to?
So Cook and Date, it's now exactly what you said, over a decade. It's 11 years and
Time flies.
And growing. Yes. Pretty much it's self-explanatory, cooking over with a group of singles, pretty much, like in a private venue.
Like with a chef?
Private chef.
You end up cooking your own meal, like it's
in a group activity. So, average 16 participants. So even as possible, 8, let's say.
Okay.
And, in advance, you know what the meal is going to be in case there's any allergies or intolerances or whatever. And age groups, of course, age categorized events. And you pick your event, you pick the menu you like, and you show up, and you get to meet at least 8 from the opposite sex.
So it's kind of like a speed dating, but with cooking.
Exactly. and there's no switching. There's
right, you're mingling. It's
mingling.
a mingle. So it's like a dinner, like a soiree, right? Like a little dinner, and then people can intermingle. Like we're inviting you to
our house, like it's very comfortable. There's myself, there's Catherine, there's the chef. We're all like around, like you don't feel like it's really a dating event. You feel more like I'm inviting a bunch of friends to my house, and you're just having a nice meal.
All right. Well, this is one way to date. I think it's also a great way to date, and we do have some tickets to give away. There's an event taking place at the Ritz-Carlton. That's on February 14th, and we have one ticket to give away for that, and that's a big event.
That's a big one, yeah. We're expecting 60 to 80 people, so it's going to be huge.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, that's a big event. There's another one happening at Marché de l'Ouest, and we have 2 tickets to give away. That's for the 35 plus. And there's another one at Espace Cook and et cetera.
So that's our new venue that we opened last year.
And that's on February 7th for 30 to 40. So if you are in that age category, text us and share your experiences with us if you want to qualify to win. What extremes have you gone through to make a relationship work? This texter writes, I actually went as far as to tolerate things that really turned me off about him, like distinct effeminate and submissive characteristics, just to make the relationship work. So that's a lot of the stuff that has come up that I've read about in this. It really is the extremes that people have gone to makes me a little cringe. It's a little cringeworthy because these are not healthy situations.
Generally speaking, they're not healthy situations when people break their own boundaries. And I think that's what is at the heart of this. If you have a boundary about what you will and will not do, and you follow your own boundary, you'll be fine. But the things that people are most feeling negative about is when they do things that counter their own value system.
Right.
And that's what we see a lot. And again, we're always seeing the worst case scenarios in our businesses. Christine, I'm sure that you've heard stories at these Cook and Date events. Laurie, I know you've heard some, horror stories about how I hear the same thing. And I think one of the things is that some of the people feel like I'm the only one who's made this mistake. No, you're not. It's actually a lot more common than people think.
And things like I've heard stuff like like extreme things. Like I went and got not me, but somebody said I went and got a boob job because the guy I was dating liked big breasts. Didn't do it for herself, did it for him. To me, that's a bit of an extreme.
Oh yeah, I've heard women have children. They said no more children anymore, but they met a guy and they said he wants a child. He wants a child. Let me give him a child. I've had
and they didn't actually want.
No, they changed their appearance. They stories that I've heard. Yeah.
Another one says, buy her things, agree with her insanity, take care of her kids, put her above me, leave my values, stop seeing my family and friends, and much more. It was not worth it.
But this is what happens sometimes. And the only way to prevent this is for people to know ahead of time what their boundaries are. You can't do it when you're in the thick of things, because at that point your feelings are starting to affect your judgment. This is why you need to identify what your boundaries are beforehand. So even if you feel inclined to cross over those boundaries, you know not to.
Yeah.
And it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing. I think most people have the experience where they really, really just loved someone so much, and they met somebody that they were infatuated with, and they were willing to do almost anything and take those risks. And for a few people, a handful, those risks worked out. But it doesn't work out for everybody.
Right. Like some people will indulge a kink, for example, in their partner, but they themselves, it doesn't interest them, but I just dropped some water, but they will indulge, they'll indulge somebody. So their partner may want to practice, let's say, I heard this story, anal sex all the time. They'll do it. They don't like it, but they'll do it anyway.
Mm-hmm. And it's good. And there's always a question of, at what point is it too much? At what point is what you're doing too much?
Yeah.
So, some people, well, this is an interesting one. I agreed to having group sex to fulfill her fantasy. She left me after it happened, saying that if I really loved her, I would not want to share her.
Right. So talk about a setup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Text writes, if you get a boob job or anything else, you should do it for yourself and no one else. I'm in agreement. Another text writes, once I met someone downtown and I missed my last bus, so the guy called a cab, took me home, and took the night bus back. When I want to show how much I care, I cook for them and write a poem for them. This is from a 33-year-old. That's a nice thing to do for somebody.
It's a nice thing to do.
Some things are nice and some things are, frankly, quite extreme and come off as creepy. Yeah, you said the word creepy, right? So it's how do you do nice things without turning somebody off? I heard someone else, I was telling someone I was doing this tonight, this topic, and they said, when they'd been on dates with several women who in the first 2 dates or so started using terms of endearment, like sweetie or whatever, and it totally turned them off. It's like, you're going way too fast. Like, I'm not, it was a turnoff.
The thing is that for some other people, that might be a turn on. That might be exactly what they enjoy. It might be something that, I feel more comfortable with the person because we're already using certain terms.
After 2 dates? That would creep me out too. Or once went on a date and it was like the guy tried to hold my hand. I was like, wait, I don't even know you well, and I just met you. Don't grab my hand. Like, that's intimate.
What about people who end up having sex on the first date? They're certainly doing more than holding hands.
Yeah, if they're both into it and both want to, but
that's my point.
Right.
If the person is into it, then what you're doing is not creepy.
Yeah, but sometimes the holding hand is more creepy than the sex. Like, you know what I mean?
There we go.
You know, that I think that's the problem with sex.
Yeah.
It's like people don't put value on it anymore. And it's like, oh, holding hands is far more intimate than sticking your penis in my vagina. It's like, when you think about it, it's crazy.
It is crazy.
But I agree with you. Some people don't see it as such a big deal, but the other stuff is, seems to be more. Hi, Dr. Laurie. My first girlfriend from high school in the early 90s is denying that we were ever a couple. I re-entered her life 10 years ago. She's in a civil union then, sort of married. So she told me not to tell people we were a couple 15 years earlier. Now she's single, but she's mad at me for saying we were once a couple. However, I've thrown out the idea of us getting back together because I don't want to be a stepfather to her daughter. So, well, here's somebody who you thought was in a couple with you, but is denying you were in a couple with, and you want to go back. And you want to go back?
No, look, there's more to this story, and it probably has to do with either social reasons, maybe religious reasons. Her reputation would be affected if it turns out that she admitted that she had a boyfriend back in high school. So she's trying to protect her reputation. And, dude, I get what you're saying here, but if she's in a situation where she has to worry about what that many other people think, you're probably setting yourself up if you do try to be with her. And I know you're saying you don't want to be a stepdad. Mm-hmm. There's more issues going on here that she has to worry about what other people think. There's something, as a kid, I can understand. As an adult, red flag for me.
Yeah, always look for those red flags. There's always some underlying something.
The following program contains mature subject matter. Listener discretion is advised.
Straight talk that's all-inclusive. Passion with Dr. Laurie. News Talk Radio. CJAD 800.
Tonight on our dating dilemmas, what extremes have you gone to make a relationship work, or to get a date, to keep a date? What have you done? If you are interested in, if you're single and interested in attending a cook and date event, first of all, cookanddate.com. That's the first thing you can go to. But we do have tickets to give away tonight to events happening on February 14th, February 7th, February 8th, different age categories. So when you text in, please text in your name and your age. So your name and your age if you are interested. So we've got events taking place for the 30 to 40 or 25 to 40 age range, one for 35 plus, and one that's open to all ages on Valentine's Day at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. So make sure, please, send in your name and your age so we know who we're giving our tickets away to. A couple of texts here, and Frank posted this on his Facebook page, so we got some interesting feedback as well. I almost converted to a religion I wasn't sure I believed in. Yikes. I'm actually happy he ended up choosing someone who really actually liked that religion, because my husband and I are on the same page spiritually, and it's awesome. Well, that makes a difference. Again, to compromise your values or your religion, if it's not something that, if you hold to your religion, or
if you hold to it. But there are for some people that they will convert religion to appease the family when they themselves aren't really attached to any particular religion.
Right.
So it's up to an individual to decide if something is important enough or not.
Right. But if it's something that they realize, like this person realized, they're glad they didn't, because they met somebody who was more on the same page.
I think it's important that we point out that what might be extreme for one person might be very normal for someone else. Mm-hmm. And that for some people, the things that we're describing is actually something they would, appreciate. And for other people, it's too much.
Right.
So it's a very individual thing. And you can't always know how someone is going to react. There are ways you can test, but in the end, you can't always really know.
Right. Or like this person did. I guess he didn't know. I did a secret admirer follow the hints game all day, leading from gift to gift to gift. Cost me a lot of money. The final clue led to a blindfolded dinner. When she took the blindfold off and saw it was me, her friend of many years that supported her, I told her, "You mean the world to me." She seemed disappointed, and after a very expensive meal, she told me that we should just be friends. Heartbreaking, yes, but as he says, he was her friend of many years. Mm-hmm. He was friend-zoned a long time ago. Mm-hmm. She did not see him as more than a friend. Mm-hmm. So, and him risking and spending all this money without, didn't you know? Like, wouldn't you have had a hint before that she wasn't interested?
Well, I think that I happen to know the guy. In this particular case, all the gifts were very related to things he knew about her. There wasn't just a random gift. It was something very personalized because he wanted to show her, hey, I've been listening.
I get that. All I'm saying is he's probably been a good friend. Nothing more than that. Why now? After many years of being her good friend, why would she now change her mind? Simply because he spent a lot of money.
Because he went and he took an opportunity to demonstrate that he could be passionate too, that he could be very romantic and giving. All the things that she said she was always looking for in a guy. So he decided to take a chance and say, look, I can do this too. Now she decided...
Yeah, but attraction is more than that, right? That's exactly. Imagine if somebody, like I'm trying to think of that, if somebody that I always seen as a friend, meaning I wasn't attracted to them for more than that such a grand gesture would only make me like, oh, geez, why did you go to all that trouble?
Like you think like that whole blindfolded secret admirer, you think that it's someone's finally, like you met the man of your dreams, not realizing that it's the man or friend that you've had for the past 10 years. And
yeah.
It's kind of, I can understand why she was disappointed.
Right, so she built it up and thought it was going to be some idealized person. No, it happened
or
to
some
be
new person.
Or some
whatever.
new person, exactly, a new person.
See, but you don't find that strange? You don't find that creepy? If it's a new person that knows nothing about you, that went through all of that trouble, you're not the slightest bit suspicious just because he happens to be handsome. But if it's somebody who's actually been there for you, you're not even going to give that guy a chance?
But it's a friend zone already.
But
and it's somebody who did something to really show you, hey, you're special to me, and you're not even giving that person a chance? Come on.
Well, again, you can't. It's not, sometimes there, if the chemistry is not there, the romantic interest is not there.
But if you give it a chance, and that's the issue here.
And then you can lose a friend.
Well, you're going to lose the friend anyway. What do you think is going to happen after an event like this? You're going to lose the friend anyway. You may as well take the chance. And if it turns out it doesn't work out, you tried. You tried.
Well, look, listen, I'm going to give him points for trying. Mm-hmm. Let's all agree we can give him points for having the guts to do it. And he sounds like a very nice guy.
You're both married, right?
Mm-hmm.
If your husbands planned something like this for each of you, how much would you appreciate all of the time and effort and thought that would have gone into it?
Sure, but it's my husband.
Mm-hmm.
Because you already like him, so it's like, hey.
That's right. Great. I already like him, but I like him romantically. This person doesn't like that guy romantically. So when he goes to all these lengths, it can be taken as, whoa, like this is over the top.
And this is why we end up now with a hookup culture where guys are saying right away before they meet, look, I just want sex. And women are asking, where's the romance? Because when men made the effort to be romantic, they get shut down.
Well, you got to do it in...
No.
Again.
No, you can't have it both ways.
What are you talking about?
My husband was, like, when we first met, was very romantic. And he still is. But I'm saying he was very romantic at our first date or two. And I didn't find it creepy because it was done very naturally.
And because we're already attracted to him.
That's right. When you're already attracted to somebody. But in a case where the person... No, like the person is not attracted to you, and it's pretty clear if you've only been friends with them for years. Here, James said he seemed to ambush the lady. It could feel like an ambush more than a beautiful grand gesture. James, let us know how old you are if you want to. If you want to go to one of these events.
Well, she really felt that way. Why didn't she give back all the gifts and not even have the expensive dinner?
There has to be a physical... Well, she didn't know. She was blindfolded.
She was blindfolded. They took off the blindfold and then had the expensive dinner. If she was already thinking that, she should have bailed
she might
there.
have ordered a salad. There has to be a physical attraction, this texter writes. No matter what someone does, if there's no physical attraction, nothing will happen. And I agree with that. It doesn't... They can buy you anything. They can do all these romantic gestures. But if you don't have that kind of attraction towards them, I that will creep you out more than it will entice you. That's what
absolutely.
The women think that.
Yeah.
So 2 women against you, Frank. Sorry. You lose. He's throwing me darts with his eyes right now. Texter says, and we're talking about like the extremes that people will go to. I sent him nude pics and videos of me with my phone. I just wanted him to love me more than the other girls he was with. Again, doesn't that cross somebody's, I don't know, goes a little far, and then God knows where that could end up.
Well, you know what? I'm on actual online groups where people are constantly posting nude photos of themselves.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and they're not doing it for the money. They're doing it because they love the attention. They love the likes. They love the, hey, this is a great pic.
They're not going to love when, they...
I still find that
somebody
creepy.
finds that picture or it gets posted in places they're not comfortable with.
It's Sex Out Loud, and you're welcome to listen in. Passion on CJAD 800.
Dating Dilemmas tonight, in studio with us, Frank Kermit and Christina Mucciardi of Cook and Date. And there's 3 events taking place. You can find out, by the way, by going to cookanddate.com. One taking place February 14th at the Ritz-Carlton. We have 1 ticket to give away for that event, a very exclusive event. In fact, there's one at Marché de l'Ouest on February 8th, and for the 35 plus, we're giving away 2 tickets for that. And there's another one for the 30 to 40 age range on February 7th. So you can text in with your thoughts, include your name and your age if you're single, so that we can put you in the draw. What experiences have you gone to? What extremes have you gone to make a relationship work? So this texter writes, a friend of mine has forgiven a girl for sleeping with another guy, only intercourse, but broke up with one because she gave a guy oral sex. He finds oral sex far more intimate. Okay. Another texter writes, I bring a small and considerate gift on a first date, and it's always well received. Yes, a small and considerate gift could be one flower, could be something. That's always very nice. But if you really like the person, except for something that turns you off about them, where do you draw the line between violating your proper boundaries and perhaps being too vain or superficial, thereby throwing the proverbial baby out with the bathwater, so to speak?
Your boundaries is something that you'll never compromise on. It's a must-have that is non-negotiable. If it's something that is negotiable, it's not a boundary. And that's why you don't adhere to it all the time.
Okay.
So, but nobody can tell you what your boundary is supposed to be. Okay, generally speaking, we can say, well, your boundary is you'll never put yourself in a situation where someone will be violent to you. And that's a boundary. And if someone is ever violent to you, you'll do something about it.
Or you leave and that's it. You don't give them a second chance.
Right. Now, most people understand that, but other people have boundaries that they don't necessarily consider, such as my boundary is I don't want to be somebody that watches a certain type of entertainment because I don't cater to, science fiction or something of that nature. Mm-hmm. Now, is that a boundary?
No, that's a preference.
Well, hold on. Mm-hmm. We don't know, because for somebody else, it may in fact be a boundary, because maybe science fiction is counter their religious beliefs. So all of a sudden now it becomes a boundary because it's not a negotiable thing. Okay. So what's a preference for one person is not
a boundary for somebody else.
And you have to decide that, and nobody can dictate that to you. You have to figure that out for yourself. And sometimes the only way you're going to know is to actually go out there, date, and you'll only know whether or not something really bugs you once you're in that situation and you find out, I thought I could tolerate this, but I don't think I can. Or the opposite. Right. I thought I'd have a problem with this, but it's not so bad.
Read off some of the other comments from your Facebook, Frank.
Oh, boy. Let's see. Some of these are just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I let her go. She was caught between two of us, so I let her go thinking she would see me and see that I was the better man. She ended up with that other something guy. Mm-hmm. I left my husband for him, but after all that, he said he wasn't ready for a commitment and needed space. My husband never took me back.
I like the one, I got pregnant because I wanted him to love me and not leave me. See, these are all, to me, like, these all sound like people who need help with their boundaries, who need help with, who may have attachment issues, all of that.
Well, if you're going to let somebody go, you don't let them go with the expectation they're going to choose you. If you're letting them go, you let them go because you believe it's the best thing. Somebody says, I drove 3 hours to be there for her when her boyfriend dumped her that night. Well, he's obviously adores that girl, but you drove 3 hours to be there for somebody that wasn't your girlfriend.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Something
he didn't
else.
say if it worked and they became a couple after that.
We've got tickets to give away tonight, so in the final minutes of the show, and I will text you back if you're our winner. So don't worry, you will get a text back, and then I will ask you to send me some more detailed information. So stand by your phone. You'll get a text back. All right, I agree with Laurie that the man who gave a series of special gifts had very little chance of being seen as a romantic prospect after years in the friend zone. He could have made a less expensive move, but ideally would have expressed his interest sooner. But she should have given any returnable gifts back and maybe talked to him before ordering more than a drink once she knew who it was. Yeah, that would have been the right thing.
Yeah. With that said, I don't think he did the right thing.
Right.
Okay? I'm not endorsing what he did. Mm-hmm. I think he made a mistake. But putting that aside for a second, he at least tried to do something outside of his comfort zone. I think it was the wrong thing to do. Hopefully he's learned his lesson. But the fact that he did it, his intentions were good. He was really hoping to create some kind of a romance. And I just find it very interesting. Usually it's the men who are told, oh, well, men are just too superficial and it's all about the way the woman looks and all about attraction. And here we have women saying, but if there's no attraction and there's no chemistry, why give it a chance?
Yeah.
I love how the women, I love the double standard.
But I have to admit that women do fall in love with their ears before their eyes. So meaning that
goes against everything the two of you have just said.
Yes, but that's because she already knew him. She already knew.
Yeah, no, you're not right.
Well, with their ears, unless they're not attracted, and they won't give him a chance. If she's going to give him a chance because she falls in love with her ears, go out with him and hear what he has to say.
Yeah, it has to be more than that too. I was dating this man at 58, and after a couple of months, he told me that if I would lose 10 pounds, he would take me to Vegas. After 4 months down the line, he left me because I was not presentable, because I was 10 pounds over towards his friends. Wow. After 3 weeks, he was on a dating site. Wow. Yeah. See, again, like some of these...
See, just for someone
astounding.
To ask, that someone would ask that.
You just met me with these 10 pounds. You want me to lose the weight? Here is who I am, as is. Love me as I am.
If there's no chemistry, then there's no chemistry.
But trying to get her to lose weight to get chemistry?
I'm playing this game with you now. He's saying, hey, lose the weight so there could be potential chemistry. And at least he's given her a chance. He's given her 4 months.
You're playing devil's advocate here.
Yes, I am.
You just want me to beat you up, don't you?
Just when you think I have been shut down, I come back. I am the Frank, and I will always be
here,
the Frank.
Last one. I'm a single 59-year-old professional female. I've had a few issues with relationships. My last one was with the most beautiful, handsome, caring, affectionate man that gave me almost everything I was looking for. Unfortunately, he is financially very unstable, which makes me feel extremely vulnerable and fearful for the future. I have my own money, but not willing to support my partner. Does this make me materialistic to the point of losing a potentially great relationship? Well, that's a decision only you can make, because is it always going to be this way?
Exactly.
Okay, listen, I don't want you to beat yourself up for this, all right? The bottom line is this is not about just how you feel. You have a certain lifestyle and you have certain boundaries. If you're going to tell me your boundary is you don't want to financially support someone, that comes with consequences. And the consequences is you might meet somebody who's perfect except for this one thing. And this is where we find out, is it a boundary or something you can compromise on? What's more important to you? Sticking to that boundary or appreciating all the other things you get? And whatever it is, be very clear Because if you go ahead and you go against your own boundary, you feel resentment, and that's how you know it was a boundary.
Right.
If you're going to resent him, don't go out with him.
Bottom line, boundaries, really important. We've come to the end. Okay, I do have our winners. So winners, when you hear your name, please send back, and I've taken note of your phone number, so send back your last name, and you'll have to come to the CJAD station, radio station, to pick up your tickets. So Derek, Susie, Leslie, and Kyla have all won tickets to the events. Christina, thank you so much for being here. Cookanddate.com for more information. People can sign up and you can find out more about events happening in your area and for your age group. And Frank can be found at franktalks.com. I can be found at drlaurie.com. Thanks to Brian Calasar, our wonderful technical producer. You can connect with me on social media at Dr. Laurie Betito as well. Coming up next on CJAD, the CTV National News. Have a great rest of the evening, and remember to live your life with passion.
Whisper words I wanna hear. Let's pretend like this sincere. Say